a horse is sitting in a barn, and he's watching TV, and a commercial comes on, and the guy is he's like advertising that he can teach anybody any musical instrument, no matter who they are or what instrument they want to play. A horse is like, oh man, I've always wanted to learn guitar. So he calls up the guy, and he was like, hey, I want to learn guitar. And the guy's like, all right, I can teach you. The horse is like, one problem, I'm a horse. The guy's like, it's no problem. So a week later, horse is sitting there shredding in the barn. Chicken walks up, and Chicken's like, oh man, I want to learn to play an instrument. And horse is like, here's the guy's number. Chicken calls up the guy and is like, hey, I want to learn to play drums. Guy's like, okay. Chicken's like, one problem, I'm a chicken. He's like, no problem. So the next week, Chicken and Horse, they're having a jam session. Pig comes up, and he was like, oh man, I really want to play piano. So the horse, he was like, call this number, the guy can teach you. Whole thing happens again.
Yeah.
So another week passes by, and they're all three jamming. And a guy, big music label guy, his car breaks down in front of the barn, and he hears the music. And he walks in, and he was like, you guys sound amazing. I want to book you and make you famous. So they, Horse, Pig, and Chicken, they all go. They tour the world, and they become the most famous band you've ever heard.
Yeah.
And then after that, they're getting ready for a show in New York. Well, Horse gets a call, and he was like, I got some bad news. Your family was in a car wreck, and they're in the hospital. They're not doing good. You need to get here now. So the horse, he tells the guys what happened. They're like, no problem. We'll hold off. We'll just skip the show and move on to the next one. We'll meet you there.
Yeah.
And so Horse is in the hospital with his family, and they're on their deathbeds, all of them. When Horse gets a call, and he was like, hey, I've got some bad news. The plane that the Pig and Chicken were on just crashed. They're dead. So the horse is sitting there crying because he just lost his two best friends. His family ends up dying the next day. And it's just like the worst moment in the horse's life. Sure. So anyways, Horse walks into a bar, and the bartender says, hey, why the long face?
Larry.
And that's when you want to reach through the screen and slap Larry.
Just throttle him.
Yeah, that one gets me every time. I don't even know if we're recording. Yeah, I probably should check.
Are we recording?
We are.
Okay, good.
Oh, I'd have been mad.
Retell the entire show.
Yeah, I've told that joke before, but I just love it so much.
So, do you guys happen to enjoy? My dad's favorite joke was one that wasn't necessarily funny, but it's one you never forget. Because instead of making you laugh, it fills you with unbridled rage.
A horrible joke.
But I'll tell you anyway. Because that's how he'd always say it. He goes, I have a joke. It's not that funny, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you. It's like, all right, Dad.
Oh, boy.
So this rich man had a son. And very rich, billionaire. And he decided early on that he wasn't going to spoil his son, so he'd get him, little tiny, presents every birthday, and then every 5 years he'd get a big special present. So he kind of explained that to his son when he turned 5. He goes, hey, I wanted to let you know it was kind of the thing we're going to do is every 5 years, you're going to get a very, immaculate present, whatever you want, no money limit. He said, okay, Dad, I know what I want. He said, okay, whatever you want, son. He said, I want a pink ping pong ball. And he goes, are you sure? You can have anything. I'll go buy you a roller coaster. He goes, no, I just want a pink ping pong ball, Dad. All right. He goes and he finds a very nice, high-quality pink ping pong ball, and he gives it to his son. And his son goes, thanks, Dad. And goes and puts it in his room. And his dad never sees that ping pong ball again. 10 years old comes around. And he goes, all right, son, remember? 5 years has passed. If you want, you can get whatever you want. Any one of the game systems that you've been looking at, anything you want. He goes, Dad, okay, I want a gigantic box full pink ping pong balls. And Dad said, I just want to make sure that you're understanding what you're giving up here. You can get anything, a horse, and anything that you want. He goes, yeah, I just want a gigantic box full of ping pong balls. All right, son. So he goes and gets a very, the extra large U-Haul moving boxes full of ping pong balls. He brings them back to his son. The son disappears into his room in that box. Never sees those ping pong balls again. 15 rolls around. He says, son, you're about to be able to drive. You might want to look at, a car. I'll get you whatever you want. Any vehicle you want. Money's no object. All right, Dad, I want a Ford E350 Econoline van full of ping pong balls. I don't want the van. You can keep the van. I just want all the ping pong balls. And the dad's like, son, I will get you any car that you want. He goes, Dad, you said no questions asked. All right, son. So he gives him the van. He unloads the van. All the ping pong balls go up to his room. Dad never sees ping pong balls again. 20 rolls around. His son's off at college. So he picks up the phone. He's going to call his son, hey, do the spiel. He calls, but his son's girlfriend answers. He says, I'm sorry, sir. He was just in a horrible accident. He's in hospital. He's not doing well. You really need to get here. So he rushes to the hospital and he gets there. And he's like, son, I'm here. I'm don't worry. You're not alone. And, they're having their last moments. His son's, slipping away. And his dad says, son, I'm sorry. I know I said no questions asked, but I have to know what was with the ping pong balls? What did you do with them? And I said, Dad, and he died.
I knew that's where I was going.
The first time my dad told me that, I was probably 9, and that's back, when anger issues are kind of common in little boys, and I had lost it. Because he drew it out like I tried to draw it out nice for the thing, but he stretched that out. It was like a 5-minute story.
So anyways, welcome to a joke infuriating episode of As Dad as It Gets, the podcast where you'll never find out where those ping pong balls went. I
shelved them.
Stay to the end and maybe we'll tell you.
I'm your host, Larry, and with me today are cow and chicken. I don't know, pig and chicken. I'll let you guys figure out who's who. John and Rick.
I got baboon.
You got baboon. I play the drums. So today, John had mentioned this in one of our chats about parents taking responsibility of other people's kids that aren't your own.
Yeah.
So there's a video floating around the internet of a woman who's like, it's a TikTok video, and she's like, can we try to normalize this? And what had happened was her daughter had a play date with another kid, and so the kid came over, the daughter and her kid played for like 4 hours. Parent came back when they were supposed to, and after that, the mom is texting the other mom, and was, they were like, hey, it's fun, we'll have to do this again. And the mom was like, okay, and by the way, here's what you owe me. And the mom's like, what are you talking about? And she was like, it's not free to host your kid. So gave like an itemized receipt of like, she ate this many snacks. She did this. She used this amount of electricity. So it's like, $15 or something like that. So this woman's trying to normalize that.
We're just not going to that house anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, your kid's not going to have any friends. Sorry.
That's right.
So
you feed your kids friends. That's just...
Yeah, that's kind of
being a parent.
It's part of being a guest, really. You don't invite people over and then you're like, okay, here's your itemized bill.
Yeah, no
unless
kidding.
it's pre-discussed. Like my wife and I had this conversation because I had sent her the video. It's like, if we, like, my daughter's friends come over when we get to that point and we're going out to eat, my wife and I have already agreed that we will pay for the friend to eat whatever, wherever we're eating. We're not gonna like invite them somewhere and expect them to pay. I mean, at a certain point, probably. Like if they're in their 20s.
Yeah, they're an adult and have a job or something. Yeah, okay, you're paying your own way, kid.
But no, like, I mean, I don't know. It just blows my mind that as a parent now you have to worry about, is this person going to send me an itemized bill? I don't know. What do you guys' thoughts on that?
That one yet?
Yeah.
I mean, we've done. My son's 8. He's had friends over. He's gone to other friends' homes. We've now entered the age of sleepovers and all that. I mean, I think the closest we ever did was he went to do a sleepover and they ended up going to see a movie. And the other dad did not ask to be reimbursed for paying my son's way to the movie. I just handed him, I handed him a 20 when we went to pick him up.
Movies are expensive.
He didn't ask. I didn't say anything. I just, as we were leaving, I gave him a handshake and gave him the 20, and that was it.
Like, did you slip the 20 in the handshake like a drug deal?
No, it was right after.
Oh.
It probably would have been cool.
I don't know, John's that kind of.
Yeah.
And that's just being a good, guest's parent.
Yeah, I mean,
we're
to the point now that we're in first name terms and everything, so it's fine. But, stuff like that comes up. We've had that boy over here, and you mentioned, they wanted to charge him for the food that they ate. And it made me realize the last time we had him over, I made dinner, right? I made like a casserole, and I was 3/4 of the way through making it when all of a sudden I was just like, "Oh crap! Does he have
There's
food
another
allergies?"
mouth in the house.
No, not even that. Like I made enough for everybody, but I was like, "Does he have food allergies?" And I had to be like, "Hey, do you have food allergies?" And he's like, "I don't think so." I'm like, "Oh, he doesn't."
What's that?
I have 911 on speed dial here.
But like, I didn't think about that when I started making the meal.
Yeah. Or like, I mean, I have a very strong aversion to corn. Like, it makes me physically gag. I'm not allergic to it or anything.
You would love Illinois.
No.
It's all the corn.
Yeah. Iowa, Indiana, Ohio.
Corn and meth.
Yeah.
The only way I like corn is if it's popped. Or breaded. Like, I love cornbread.
Oh, cornbread. Like, okay, right cornbread or the stuff they have up here?
I don't know what's
like
up there.
So we have the super sweet cakey stuff up here.
I don't like sweet cornbread.
I like cornbread. I want corn in my cornbread.
Not corn in it. Like buttermilk.
I want to taste corn. Yeah.
Buttermilk cornbread.
Yeah.
That's funny. Indiana, we have like both.
Yeah.
So if you ask for cornbread at a restaurant or at someone's home, there's like a 50-50 chance of what you're going to get.
You're going to get something made in a skillet, or you're going to get something that's got sugar in it?
It's gotta come from an iron skillet for me to eat it.
Yeah, agreed.
And it's like someone's grandma's recipe. But what were we talking about? Like another thing when kids come over is you have to talk or think about like food aversions, not necessarily allergies, but like my mother-in-law has learned to not make corn or make it separate when inviting us to dinner, because I'm completely fine with eating something somewhere else, or like I'll snack around on something. I'm at the point and with my in-laws, I just go in and help myself. But no,
what is it about corn? Is it just the taste, or
I don't know. It's not even the taste. The taste doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
It's I don't know if it's like the texture or what, but like if I know there's corn in it, like kernels of corn, I gag. I have no idea.
That's coconut for most people, you weirdo. It's not the taste; it's the consistency.
Yeah, I love coconut.
I mean, everybody's got things that they get weird about. My brother-in-law, not to talk bad about him, he won't touch anything that has the word bean in it. So lima bean, kidney bean, black
My
bean, green bean, won't touch.
Human being.
my boss made deviled eggs once for a potluck, and like, in fact, love deviled eggs.
Mhm.
I eat them whole. Like I don't take a bite of a deviled egg. I just shove the whole thing in my mouth and chew on it.
Hey, let it
Yeah.
slide.
But well, so I bit down and there was something hard in the deviled egg.
That's supposed to put hard stuff in deviled
It
eggs.
was the shell.
Oh man.
Oh,
Oh, he
no.
did he intentionally put it in there?
I don't know. It was a woman.
Oh, she. Sorry.
But I tried to chew it, like to muscle through it, and my body physically would not let me swallow what was in my mouth.
I think it's because you realized what it was, and you're like, "This is not supposed to go in your mouth."
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
And then like the next 4 potlucks, she's like, "I'm making deviled eggs." I
No.
was like, "Nope."
So my mom refuses to call them deviled eggs. She has to call them angel eggs.
That's weird.
Well, it's because she doesn't want the word devil in anything. So it's
Oh.
angel eggs, and I'm like, Mom, it's because it's got vinegar in it. She goes, I don't care.
Can we all send her deviled food cake?
She probably won't eat that. She loves angel food cake, dude.
I love angel food cake,
My mom is sold on the bit.
Yeah.
but
My mom, for faults, she's consistent.
so for since we're talking about parents, for you guys, like whenever I'd go to friends' houses, my parents would allow them to, like, they'd give them free reign of punishment. They were like, if you want to beat them, you can if they did something wrong. I made friends with a guy, neighbor, whose mom was a bodybuilder.
Oh God,
Yeah, you guys ever been hit with a weight belt?
no,
It makes a whistling sound when it flies straight to your butt.
I bet it does.
Yeah, from like the metal in the belt and all the holes.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like a freight train coming at you. And you get hit by a woman who can lift like 300 pounds. You're coming off the ground.
Yeah.
But
You
so, what are your guys' thoughts on like punishments as far as parenting? Like if you let your kids go to someone else's house, does that parents' rules apply to your child?
I haven't actually encountered this yet with my son going elsewhere. I've encountered it with kids coming to our place.
Yeah.
And I've had to. Luckily, it was just a kid down the street, and I had to just politely tell the kid, "Hey, we're going back to your house." And
What happened
then,
there?
there were minor injuries and that involved that child to another child who was also over having a play date with my son.
Yeah.
And I was like, we're going to your parents now, and I'm talking to your parents, letting know what happened, because I know for a fact the other kid's dad is not going to be as lenient as me. Also, it happened in my house, and we just aren't having injuries happen in my house. So yeah. And unfortunately for that child, it was only his grandma who was home. And it was one of those southern raised grandmas.
I can go get a switch.
Yeah,
Switch,
he was
man.
taken inside real fast, and my son's like, "Is he gonna be okay?" And it's like, "I don't know, but we're going home right now."
We're gonna say a prayer for him.
Pretty much.
Thoughts and prayers.
That helps. I think I'd be okay with my son being subject to their rules because I would expect their kids to be subject to the rules of my house.
Mhm.
I'm not going to punish someone else's kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will
talk
remove
to
them
on
from
the
my
phone.
home.
What if the
Yeah.
parents like do whatever you want? Like if they give
Yeah,
you
I'm
free
just-
reign.
I'm
They're
going to just take the kid to their house. So yeah, if he's over in my house breaking my rules and I'm not responsible for caring for that child like as a portion of my life,
Yeah.
I'm taking him back to his parents.
What if
Yep.
it's like 3:00 in the morning? You know the parents aren't
You're
around.
going back to your parents,
Yeah,
and then your parents
Now-
can be more pissed off that you're here.
within reason. If he's knocked over, he's gotten upset at something and knocked something over or whatever. Okay, we can work through it. I'll gentle parent the kid too. Um, but if he like hauls off and hits my kid in the head with a bat,
Yeah.
You're going home, dude.
Yeah.
It depends, and I think it just needs to be, a modicum of reason should be used in those situations. Do I need to react to what this child has done? I mean, most things most kids do is hey,
Let's
knock it
not do
off.
that.
Let's not do that. I know you may do that in your home, but this is not your home,
Right.
and we do have rules here. When you're in my home, you have to abide by the rules that me and my wife have set in my home. And if you don't want to do that, that's okay, but you have to do that somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I would expect whoever, if my son's over, at one of his friends' houses, I fully expect him to abide by their rules. And if he doesn't want to abide by the rules, even if they're willing for him to come back, I'm not going to let him go back. You're going to behave yourself wherever you go. Now, when you're a grown up, you want to be a turd, do what you got to do. You're not my problem anymore. And you are, But yeah, yeah.
I think up to a certain point, in like our children's friendships, that they like when they're staying over, there's only a certain amount of comfortability. Like, I mean, granted, there are some kids that will just come in and like start renting out your house. They're so comfortable. But there are
That was
others.
kind of my high school friendships were like that. My friends would show up and open my fridge.
Yeah. But then there are other friendships that are like, okay, he asked me not to do this. I'm gonna not do it because I don't know him that well.
Yeah.
But another thing is like, because John would be the one to ask here, because I I didn't stay at people's houses most of the time growing up, but for my wife, like, I remember her saying that she had a girl stay the night with her, and her parents were like, okay, we want to meet this girl's parents before she stays over. And they go to like shake hands with the parents, and the parents like, yeah, whatever. And they were like, okay, do you have any contact information? Do you have an address? Like, what are we doing? How long is she allowed to stay? And the parents just like, I don't care, just take it. And then that was it. The parents were trying to push them off. They didn't even know the parent's name, I don't think.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, the kid coming with you.
Yeah.
Or with her. Okay.
So John, for like you, how well do you have to know the parents before your their child is allowed to stay with you, and vice versa?
Well, the one friend that he has stayed with, we've gotten to know them pretty well, like first name basis. And they know us pretty well. He's been over there multiple times. He's come over here multiple times. Things like that. So we actually have the contact information. We know
your
how
Facebook
they
friends.
act. Yeah.
And I mean, now it'll be probably different compared to when we were growing up. Like, you have social media, you have ways of showing proof of life to the parents.
That's actually one of the things they did when he stayed over there. At like 10 o'clock that night, I got a photo, and it was like, oh yeah, and here's the two boys right before they went to bed.
They were holding up newspapers with today's date.
Well, it was funny because it was like the dad, sent it to me like, I don't know, 9:45, 10. And he was like, yeah, there's their son in the bed and my son like on a cot next to the bed. And he's like, and this is them like half an hour ago getting ready to sleep. ... I think they're asleep. 5 minutes later, yeah, I'm pretty sure they're asleep. So, things like that. But
that's another question. Sleeping, like, I've seen Reddit posts where parents would get mad at other parents because they would let their kids stay up later.
Yeah.
Than what the other parent, like the parents are like, we want them in bed by 9:30. And it's like, okay, well, it's a weekend and I stayed up till midnight. Like, for me, staying over, like, we tried to actively stay awake as long as we could. because the first one to go to sleep gets messed with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, my son goes and stays at his grandparents, and my grandparents are night owls. So it's kind of understood that he's going to be up a little bit later
Yeah.
than normal when he's over there. It's also very, very understood that he's going to probably end up watching a movie with his grandpa, my father-in-law, that's maybe a little bit over his age, but it's grandpa, so we let him have it because he's being spoiled. He's not being shown horror movies or anything, but it's just like, action film that I probably
We watched American Pie, the first one.
Watch National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
like he's gone and watched the Godzillas and stuff like that when he was 6, and those
And
kind
how
of things.
Human Centipede was.
Oh, God.
Larry, stop it.
I think grandparents are allowed a certain leniency because
Yeah.
they raised us
Yeah.
within boundaries, like respecting boundaries. Because when my daughter stays the night with my in-laws, for one, they do send us a lot of pictures for proof of life,
Mhm.
and then typically she doesn't go to bed till like 11 or 12, mainly because they aren't around at nap times as much to understand how to put her down.
Yeah.
So they try something new, and it's like she's very overstimulated because she only gets to stay with my in-laws like maybe once every few months or something like that.
That sounds about right with mine.
Yeah, because it takes them a full day to prepare and then a full day to recover.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
That sounds about right.
yeah,
But
I'm really interested because me and my wife are going through IVF. If we do end up with another one, like the plan is that my daughter will stay with my in-laws until everything's done. Just like I'm curious how they will survive.
it's probably going to be a bunch of trial and error, and a lot of crying, a lot of pleading, and your daughter might get upset too.
She won't. Yeah, we
But one of the things that I wanted to bring up with the dealing with people's kids,
Yeah.
is like I've had a couple encounters now since my son's older, that I didn't really plan on having, and like you get to that moment and you're like, okay, what's protocol here? Like, my son goes and plays with other kids, and like the playground, they're old enough that they can do things in the playgrounds they're probably not designed for,
Yeah.
right? And all of a sudden, one of the other kids gets hurt, and you're the only adult that is currently in that area, and you're just like, oh crap.
That's when having
Like,
a wife
you're-
as a nurse is a good thing.
Yeah. You're just
It comes
like,
in
hey,
handy.
you okay, buddy? You're not my kid, so I'm not really gonna be touching you. So anybody got a stick to poke this kid? No. But stuff like that. Just like, please don't be hurt. Please don't be. Or you're getting up. Okay, let's.
Well,
Ooh. Like last week we were at a playground and one of the kids was hanging off the side of this thing, and he's like a story up in the air.
yeah.
And I'm like 10 feet away over here. There's another dad of one of the kids this is not his kid either, like 15 feet that way. We both see him hanging, right?
Yeah.
And we both have that moment where we look at each other and be like, do you need to go grab? Do I need to go grab him? He resolved it. Okay, we're fine. But there was that moment where we're just like, he might fall.
Yeah.
That could be a really bad fall. Oh, okay, he's fine.
Well, so I haven't had this experience really when I was as a parent, but I was in like maybe my early 20s, like 21 or something like that, and we went to Wilmington, North Carolina, to their beach. And it was right around hurricane season. So like the hurricanes were out in the ocean, but not to shore, and it was affecting the waves.
Mhm.
Me and my friends were like out probably further than we should have been, but we could still touch and everything. We got hit by a wave and we stand up, and next thing I know, there's a little girl like maybe 5 or so, five to 8, somewhere around there. And she is like struggling to stay above water, basically drowning. And I panicked. I was like, okay, where's the parents? Like, what do I do? So after thinking about it for a little bit, I was like, if I don't get her, she's going to die. I picked this child up and I'm just walking with her like out because I'm basically a kid myself, and I'm walking with her to the shore, and her grandmother was on the beach, like starts threatening me because she thinks I'm kidnapping her child.
I think she's drowning.
Yeah, I was like, she was way out there, and she almost drowned. And I just set her down and walked off.
We went to the park on Monday, and we were watching Remy do his own thing. This brand new park was packed, and I hear right behind me this little girl, "Help!" And I turn around. She's kind of hanging off of something with one hand and one foot, and she can't get herself off of her situation. I kind of look around. Nobody's really coming, and I'm like, do you need help? She goes, yes, please. I kind of, reach out. I was just going to reach out to my hand and kind of help her out, but she starts leaning in towards me. I'm like, oh, okay. Put her down. Okay, here comes his mom, dude.
Yeah.
Built like a brick house. Just charged at me. Put my daughter down. Sorry. She was about to fall. She asked for help. All I did was assist. Don't touch my daughter. Sorry.
I think it's like the fact that we're just heavy set guys with beards.
Maybe. And you can't know. I mean, that's,
no.
I don't want to say that we have caused this problem ourselves, but dudes be creeping.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's it's not a problem of our own design, but some of us have designed it.
Yeah, because I mean, if you look at statistics, like most of like the online predation and just predation in general comes from males.
Yeah.
Very rarely does it come from females. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but it doesn't happen as often.
It's actually a statistically insignificant number.
Yeah.
So,
but
I mean, one of the other things I encountered, like this year in particular, is having to like pick kids up. Is we go to the pool, neighborhood kids come over there at the pool too. My son likes me to pick him up and throw him.
Yeah.
Right. So I pick him up and throw him, and suddenly I've got 5 or 6 kids between 5 and like 8.
You're fucking kids.
Yeah, but
it's like, am I allowed to do this? Do I have your parents' permission to throw you?
Well, the parents are there, so and I know some of them, so I just look at them and be like, "You're cool." They're like, "Yeah, we're cool." Okay, and it's like, boy pick up throw, boy pick up throw, and then a girl comes over, and I'm like, that's a new challenge. Dad, cool. He's like, yeah, cool. It's like, okay, you're cool. He's cool. Okay, throw. It's like.
I mean, this sounds weird, but I don't know if it's where like I'm an overprotective parent or anything. But when Callie is playing on the playgrounds and stuff like that, I'm usually within arm's reach. Very rarely am I sitting down on a bench to just watch her play. I'm usually going through the like play place. I can't go.
Your knees
I can't fit through the McDonald's play place anymore. So I don't do that.
Yeah.
But like the outdoor playground, I'm usually there playing with her, and as a result, a lot of kids will come up to me and they will want me to play with them the same way I play with her, and it's like I'm not doing that.
Yeah. If you would like to engage with my child, right here.
But like occasionally, a kid will need help climbing up, and I was like, I don't know if you're allowed up there. Like, no.
Yeah.
Find out yourself.
Ask your parent if you were allowed to go up there. Drag them over. I did actually get a kid to do that once. That exact thing. It's like, I'm not helping you. You should have your dad do that. And it's like, okay, and they run off. And then 5 minutes later, here comes kid with dad who clearly was on his phone, and now he's annoyed that.
He was like, "Why is this other guy do it?" But it's just I mean, it's really hard to gauge what is okay as far as parenting, especially when you don't know the other parents.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But do you guys have anything else to add for it?
There was one back when I was a mechanic at my family shop. We had this one customer who was always a problem when she came in, always. Um, and her child was feral, like zero. Wasn't gentle parenting, wasn't any parenting. It was just this thing came in and existed in the office with an adult. And she'd rip all the magazines out of the covers, and she about turned over the candy machine one time. And one time she came in and the mom was talking with us, actually cussing me out because I wasn't going to warranty a brake job that we didn't do.
Right.
She had the haircut. We all know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And her daughter had like picked up something off the ground and put it in her mouth.
That's
And
good too.
yes, and this is a automotive shop, so the ground is extra disgusting.
Mhm.
It's not just
It's not
germs
just
and
gross;
stuff.
it's like super
Breeds,
gross.
They
Yeah,
could
and it's
kill
like
them.
there's
Yeah.
chemicals on there that could
Yeah.
be. And one of our other customers, who was not a serial looking individual, she goes, "Oh no, sweetheart, no, don't do that, don't do that." And she spins around, "Do not talk to my daughter like that." I was like, I was watching her put something in her mouth. She's helping you. You don't tell me what to do with my daughter. Get out of my office.
Mhm.
Like, all right. I mean,
No,
at this
I mean,
point,
yeah.
good luck with your dead child. I hate to say it, but
Yeah.
laws only allow us to do so much.
That was last.
But
That was
if-
the last
if
time
they-
she came to the shop. Thankfully, because we weren't going to warranty her job. She gave us a bad Yelp review. I ended up seeing her later in the subway. Child was not wearing underwear, just romping around in a t-shirt. 4-year-old girl.
Yeah.
It's not an itty bitty kid. And they're like, you need to dress your daughter. She's in there freaking out, screaming at the subway folks, and it's just like, I don't get your problem, lady. What's your major malfunction? Just,
We should do an episode entirely on entitled parents.
But yeah, with that lady, it's like, oh, you're no longer just that type of person. So you're actually a little bit
Well-
crazy and dangerous if you're letting your kid run around like that.
Because there was a woman recent, like maybe February of this year, who
Mhm.
went to Walmart. It was below freezing, and her child is in nothing but a diaper. And yeah, and the Walmart employee stops and calls it, like, starts harassing this woman. And is like, "Where's your child's clothes?" And the woman was going off on this woman, this employee, and they end up calling the cops, and the cops, take the child away for their own safety. And the Walmart employee got fired. But
doing the right thing.
yeah, but I mean, I think we have a whole episode of topics that we could talk about for entitled parents, and so we'll touch more on that. But as far as dealing with other people's kids, I think that it's important to do things within reason.
Mhm.
And when your kids' friends are there, they're your guests, and so you have to accommodate them. You don't charge them for anything, like, unless it's talked about beforehand.
Or if they break something really valuable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If they, I mean, really the whole situations depend on your relationship with the other parents. But I really just, if they're there, they're your kids until they're not there. And that's about as bad as it gets.